Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Committed to Me podcast. My name is Alexis, licensed mental health therapist.
My name is Keisha, licensed social worker.
All right, girls. So let's check in. How are you? What's been going on in your world?
I think I'm good.
You're like glowing. I don't know if it's the pink.
Listen, this is a little bright
Yeah.
for me. But I said the girlies be doing it on, social media, so
They
let
do.
me buy it and see.
They do.
I don't know.
It looks good.
It looks good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're glowing.
It's feeling shiny corduroy, but we're here.
I love it.
But I don't know. I had my green juice today. I worked out.
Good.
I made it here. I managed to do my makeup. Proud of that.
Amazing.
Thank you. And here I am. So I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
Today's a good day.
Today is a good day. The
good
sun
day.
is out.
And it feels great outside.
Yes,
It's
we're
not
getting
humid
some
yet.
sun.
The wind is blowing. The birds is chirping.
Yes.
It's good.
It's a good thing.
How are you?
I think I'm doing okay. I feel like I'm a little spacey because I worked outside of my normal routine. I went outside of my normal routine.
Okay.
This weekend, I just decided to go out a lot. And
you was a social butterfly.
I was a social butterfly this weekend. So I'm trying to reground myself back into the Monday, but it's kind of like I'm here, but I'm still back where I was.
Yeah, it was a good weather, wasn't it? I feel like everybody was outside this weekend.
I had to take advantage of it. I had to.
I see some people in my neighborhood walking their dogs. I see kids outside playing. So everybody want to get outside this weekend.
Yeah. So this weekend was like a really good weekend to be outside. And yeah, I definitely took part in being a community, but I'm here. It was good.
That's how we wording it.
Yeah.
Took part in being in community.
I took part in being in community this weekend, and a time was had.
I believe
it was bad.
Okay,
we're here.
Okay, girl. That's what's up.
So yes, on today's episode, y'all, we're gonna jump right into it because in my journey, I think I've been thinking a lot about perfectionism. It has been a huge theme in my life. I will say that I am a recovering perfectionist.
I can see that. I can see that. It makes sense.
I am a recovering perfectionist to a T, and that has been, it's had its ups and downs, in terms of navigating the world with this perception of perfectionism. And I think last year was like my breaking point where I was just like, okay, this can no longer.
It don't work.
I can no longer be in this space of trying to be perfect. And I just remember like recalling the moments where I was just trying to just do things in a specific order or trying to make sure I get a certain outcome and things look a certain way, and not getting that was really defeating last year. So this year I am completely letting go of perfectionism. Like I said, I'm recovering. Sometimes I have to catch myself where I'm super focused on like I'm not hyper, but super focused on like the minor details of things.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm recovering.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
Come on to this side, girl. I'm like, listen, I did what I could. That's all I got. I don't got nothing else.
You did so well in that though. Like I literally, like working with you, I see how you literally just flow. Like there isn't like any perfectionism that comes up. How did you? I
will let Mariah Carey clip say I'm gonna give it what I got. That's all I got. But not for real. Like I remember being like high school, talking to my grandma on the phone, and she said one thing that stuck with me, and she was like, "You can only do as best as what you got. Anything past that, like what are you stressing for?" So I've always carried that with me because I'm just like I can't do it all. I can't please everybody. It is what it is. I'm not gonna die trying to please everybody. I don't have time for that. So sometimes things happen. I just like, well, oh well, got tomorrow.
Yeah, that is not my mentality.
I know.
My mind be like, I only have today. In this moment, I got to get it right. It has to be on point. And if I'm not on point, it's going to be a reflection of me. And it is a very self-defeating mentality to be in when you're constantly thinking about being perfect. And at first, I never thought to put it in that terms of perfectionism, but being part of the mental health world and also doing my own mental health journey, people call me out so many times of like, you are trying to be Little Miss Perfect, and it doesn't have to be that way.
You got to give yourself grace.
Yes, but I was also learning how to give myself grace while still trying to be perfect.
That's counterproductive.
that wasn't, and that honestly, that really wasn't grace. Like it
was
wasn't
not.
grace
It
at
was
all.
not.
And I would say that when you're operating from a space of being perfect, you do get really good results. And it's not trying to be perfect on purpose. Like not trying to be perfect on purpose. It's just thinking that there isn't a space for you to mess up, because either there's so much riding on you or
Yeah.
people expect so much of you or you've been used to operating at a certain level. You start to believe that there isn't a space for you to make any mistakes, or if you do make a mistake, so many things are at what is it called? Like so many things are at risk. And so just having that mindset of like, okay, I got to get it right. And if I don't get it right, things could be at risk. I could be letting so and so down. And there's so much connected to you. Being in that space, you don't even know it, but you're operating from a place of perfectionism. And it sucks.
It's true, but when mistakes happen, you have to. I think once you like take a step back and you look at it from like a productive problem solving mode, like yeah, there's stuff at risk. I may let somebody go, but then you sit back and you say, okay, where did I go wrong? What can I do better next time? How can I change something? Let me have this conversation with so and so. And when you tap into those skills, then it's like you won't feel the need to be perfect because you're like,
Right.
okay, stuff happens. Things come up. Sometimes you do fall short, but where can I change, so the next time I don't make that same mistake. And then
Right.
that's kind of giving yourself grace, but also holding yourself accountable to obtain those
Yeah.
things that you want.
Yeah. It's the holding myself accountable piece. Because I can hold myself accountable and that is fine and dandy. However, it's also me letting go of what I thought a situation could be. If I were to push myself past my limits to be perfect, to make something happen or to get something right how I want it to be. So it's a little bit of anxiety driven and living in this what if land that maybe things are not going to go how I thought they would go if I don't show up in this way. And honestly, perfectionism can come up in so many different areas. It can come up in how you show up for yourself, how you show up in your own space that you live in, how you show up in your friendships, how you show up at work. It can come up in so many different spaces. And I know for me personally, when I'm in a working space, I see myself operating that space as if what you're seeing on the external is everything is fine.
But inside,
I'm
freaking out.
I am freaking out. It's a mess, and it looks like things are in order. Things have a place, and things have a certain timing and timeline, or I'm operating 10 steps ahead of myself. And externally, I have gotten comments from people that have seen that externally and say, "Oh my gosh, like you're doing so well. Like it looks so good. Like you're handling, I would never tell." And inside I'm like,
Yeah, but
like girl, I am going through it type of it's internally, but you will never
so it's
see that.
right. And you saying that makes me think of like, okay, like functional depression, functional anxiety. On the outside, you're good, but on the inside, you're a mess.
Yes.
Okay, I want to say two things. So, it sounds like perfectionism goes into the fear of not being in control and not the fear of the unknown of what would happen, how are things going to play out.
Yes.
And that is one thing that we as people have to learn is that you're not going to be in control and you're not going to know the outcome. And you have to be okay with knowing I either lined everything up to where it could play out great and I need to relax and trust myself.
Right.
Or, sometimes things are I just don't know what's going to happen. And I've prepared myself enough to be able to handle either A, B, or C, however it goes.
Right.
Then you said the disappointment and how you thought it would turn out like this.
Right.
To me, that sounds like grieving in a way. Grieving something that people think grieving is just death, but it's not. Like grieving is, what I thought something would be, or I thought I would pass this test and I didn't. So now I'm grieving those results, or what I thought would line me up to do X, Y, Z. And it's okay to grieve the disappointments and the change and the unknown, or whatever it is. And when you allow yourself space to grieve that disappointment, it's okay. Like, you let yourself feel it, you let it out,
Mm-hmm.
and then you double back and say, okay, now that I've grieved it, I processed it, let me go into my problem solving mode. Let me go
Right.
back into my goal setting mode
Right.
and figure out what I need to do differently.
Yeah, I would say that it is a grieving process. And sometimes being in that state of mind of perfectionism, it's almost trying to catch yourself from going into the grieving process. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I know for me personally, I can find myself trying to make sure I don't face disappointment because one, I think perfectionism can also derive from experiences of people letting you down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so now I believe it can derive from people from experiences of people letting you down, but also people projecting onto you that you're not going to make it, you're going to fail. All these things that you can hear
Mm-hmm.
as you're growing up from childhood to adulthood of people constantly projecting that you're going to fail. And that can be a very haunting experience as you're trying to navigate life as an adult. And just recently, like when I had turned 30, I realized to myself that like I had nothing else to prove to my younger self. Like we're whole. Like
Okay.
we did it. We did it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're successful. Um what I wanted as a child, I was able to now give to myself. And I realized that last year when I went to I forgot what concert that I went to, but I was so in shock.
Probably Beyonce.
And no, it wasn't Beyonce because she wasn't on tour last year, but it was actually at an Usher concert. No, it
Mm.
wasn't at an Usher concert. I had went to a Kirk
Man, you
Franklin.
going to all kind of concerts,
I was
huh?
outside last year. I was giving myself the things, but it really felt good because I was in New York. No, I went to Chicago with my friends and we had a really great time. I've never thought to go to a gospel concert with my friends before, but I thank God that I did. It was a really great experience. But we saw Yolanda Adams, we
Mm-hmm.
saw Kirk Franklin, we saw Fred Hammond. That's my fave. We also saw I think I forgot their name, but
Maverick City.
no, the
No.
Kirkland sisters. I think that's
Oh.
their name. I have to look it up. I may be saying it wrong.
Clark,
The Clark
Clark
sisters.
sisters. Yeah.
Yes, the Clark sisters. So we saw the Clark sisters, and I just remember my mom playing their album and listening to Fred Hammond as a child, and listening to like all these artists that I had the opportunity to go and see in concert. And it was like my inner child that was dancing in her room, like to her
Aw.
CD player. I could just see like how proud she was of me in that moment. And that's when I was like, we have nothing more to prove to ourselves. Like, girl,
Nothing.
we did it. Like, we're successful, we're doing well, we're able to give ourselves the things if we want to give ourselves the things. And if we don't, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have to be operating in this place of deficit. And I strongly believe that in perfectionism, you're operating from this place of a deficit and not knowing if you're capable or if you can believe that that you are deserving of the things that are really valuable to you in this world.
I agree to that because I feel like relating to childhood, that perfectionism can come from trying to please your parents and
Yeah.
wanting to make them happy and
Yeah.
feeling like if I clean my room enough, if I make good grades, stay out of trouble, they'll love me more, they'll pay attention to me
Yeah.
more, and then you become an adult still trying to make somebody happy and appease somebody,
Yes.
and you're carrying that with you,
Mm-hmm.
thinking you're not enough because I need to make somebody happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. We're not operating from a deficit. Just posted my video. We're not operating from lack or scarcity.
None of that.
It is abundance. It is love. It is everything that we need.
Yeah. And letting go of those messages, like those early messages of people projecting onto you that you were going to
Mm-hmm.
fail or that you're going to get pregnant at the age of 16, like
Oh
that is
yes.
really heavy. And for me, speaking of my own personal experiences, I remember someone in my family saying that to me, like not to me, but they were saying it to my mother. And I overheard that conversation and I was like, dang,
Like shots fired. Like
damn,
damn,
like
what
what
I
I do
do
to
to you?
you? Like I'm just a kid. Like damn, what did I do to you? And
Mm-hmm.
that was it shifted something for me, putting me in this on this island of okay, well I have to make sure that I'm on my P's and Q's because
Dang.
obviously this is what this person, which I considered as the world at this time, is going to expect of me. So I have to put my best foot forward, and everything that I do, like failure is not an option, but of course failure does happen because
Mm.
life happens, things change. And so that, like, it was a seed that was planted.
Yeah.
And as an adult now, I can see how I can contribute to watering that seed. And so I catch myself whenever I do operate from a place of perfectionism, um, of me watering that seed and trying to operate from this place of a deficit.
That's good. Watering that seed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't want to water that seed. That's a
You
weed.
got to choose another seed.
Yeah, I
that
don't
you
want to
need to
water that seed.
water.
That is,
Yeah.
I really think going to therapy has helped me uproot that seed, and but also catching me in my own, because I believe as adults, especially when you get into your 30s, you can start to water some seeds that were already there. And it's a difference between you like watering it and tending to that seed, and there's a difference of you just uprooting it,
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of those seeds I definitely had to uproot.
Hey, for real, because weeds grow
They
and
do.
they get tangled into other things that you're trying to get
Yes.
with, and then you wondering what's going on. And then to pull your weed up, you got to pull the plant up that you was trying to. It's just
not in this garden.
it's not good. It's not good.
Not in this garden, no. And so, in your own experiences, have there been any seeds that were planted or any seeds that you uprooted because you operate from this place of perfectionism?
I don't know. I mean, like my mom really instilled in me. She was very loving, thank God. Like very loving. She made sure to let me know, like, you're beautiful, you're smart. But she made sure, don't you get pregnant, as a teenager. Don't get pregnant before you get married. I did that one backwards, but sorry. But my mom, I think that she made me feel like I was enough as a kid. So of course, like I strive to make sure my room is clean. Like if my siblings got a whooping, I'm like, oh, I'm finna go into clean mode. Like you ain't finna get me. But I just from get go, I've always known like you can't make people happy.
Yeah, that's true.
Even because of my parents, sometimes I can do something that I think I'm doing good. My mom will tell me, you shouldn't do that, and I'm like, even if I'm in my 20s, I'm like, dang, she ain't never happy. But I've just realized I can't make anybody happy, whether it's my mom, me, my husband, friends, whoever. Like I can only do my best.
Right.
And I'm not going to strive to do any more than that. And I'm not going to let somebody tear me down when I know I'm like, as long as I'm on my P's and Q's, handling my business, doing what I need to do, you're not going to make me feel like I'm less than anything. And I am good about speaking up on everything. I'm not going to hold my tongue. I feel like when you hold it in, like your body just starts to get worn down.
Yeah.
You start to feel all these things. You're getting illnesses, and you wonder why you got headaches and stomach aches because you're holding all these emotions in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, baby, I'm going to speak up. You're not going to shut me up.
But see, with perfectionism, like the type of mindset that does come up is timelines. Timelines is a huge part of perfectionism, and believing that you only got so much time to get this right. And like I say, like if you get it wrong, then it's the thought process of so many things are at risk.
True. I guess I just take my faith with me because I'm learning that, I'm not in control. God is, right? And you have to surrender your goals and your plans to his, because so many times I've planned this. I've had my timeline, thinking you're going to be married and have kids and make all this money, and nothing worked out like that. And then, you fall on your knees, you're crying, wondering why me, why everybody's succeeding and I'm not. And I've just learned that you literally have to give it to God. Like, I've started to change my prayers to where I'm like, listen, like put your desires into my heart. So I want what you want. And so that I'm on the path that you want me to be on and not on this different path thinking why it's not working out because I'm not supposed to be there. It's been a struggle, definitely in my 20s. I felt like I was behind on so many things. I feel like everybody else was succeeding and I was just in this whirlwind and couldn't get out of the sinking hole. And I just threw myself into faith in God. And now I hear him like, well, listen, if it's meant for me, it's meant for me.
That's true.
And if it's not, it's not. And I'm going to be disappointed. But I feel like God always has something better lined up.
Right.
Kind of like that image of that teddy bear, you got this teddy bear that's small and he's got the big one behind his back and he's like, give it here. And you're like, no, it's mine. I want it. But not knowing that you swap it out, it's a way bigger teddy bear and you're going to love it more. So it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's
Mhm.
very hard. I've had many nights that I've cried thinking like, why is this not working for me?
Right.
But I've literally had to learn to let it go because if I walk around all day, man, like it's not working for me. Like I did everything. I'm mad at
Yeah.
everybody. Like leave me alone. And then I'm putting that on people who have nothing to do with it.
That's true.
And then I'm making myself suffer by not being able to enjoy my days and the people I'm around and just enjoy life because I'm mad that things didn't work out.
Yeah, and perfectionism, you can be so rough with yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
like, you're not yesterday, but last year, I realized how rough I was with myself. And I acknowledge where my mental and my physical limits are. And those things have to be in alignment with one another.
Same, yeah.
So anytime that I try to exceed beyond my mental or physical limit, I instantly experience burnout. My body instantly says, no, we're not going to do that. Like, we're
Mm-hmm.
just, it's like when your body starts to rebel, almost as if like those external things start to rebel against you as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree. I see things as interconnected, as you're saying, in terms of like, yeah, do you have to learn where you're going to let go in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And for perfectionism, how I practiced it, there was no letting go. All things had to work out,
That sounds tiring.
and it was exhausting, Keisha.
That
Like,
sounds tiring.
it's so exhausting. And just recently, I'm learning to flow with rejection, learning to flow with no, and knowing that rejection is not mirroring my self reflection. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not mirroring who I am as a person. It's
Mm-hmm.
not mirroring what I deserve in this life. It's not mirroring none of that. But perfectionism doesn't allow you to believe that. It really creates this all or nothing type of thinking
Yeah.
with everything that you do. And it's just go, 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 go. And it's like if something doesn't work out, then it's like, okay, well, I have to figure out how to make this work out. Like I have to figure, and it's constantly
Just on go all the time.
on go
You like the
and
Energizer Bunny.
on go. Like I am going. Like if and then sometimes you can start to like create different models of it of like if there's a will, there's a way, or make it happen. And I didn't want to be those things anymore. Like
Don't.
I didn't want to be make it happen. I didn't want to be, trying to figure all things out because eventually I had to let go of this process and figure out what's going to come of it if
Mhm.
I just take a step back. Also, I do believe that people can hide behind perfectionism as well too.
Mhm.
And a great deal of what I was doing was like hiding behind perfectionism. And I remember going to my therapist and even talking to my mom, and I'm like, I'm just tired of acting like everything is okay and my house is not in order, like I'm not in order. And for me, a big depiction of where I am within my mental journey is my personal space.
Yeah, definitely.
How I keep my personal space is reflective of like what's
I agree.
happening.
In your
And
life.
I was so in the act of trying to be perfect and okay that my friends were like, "Oh, Lex, like we're coming over to your house. Like, girl, like, yeah, let's do like a wine night." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like I gotta I gotta clean this place up. Like this place is not where I needed to be."
That's funny.
And I would spend like the entire day just cleaning my house, prepping things, and also telling myself, like, okay, girl, never again. Like, we're going to make sure we have our house in order, or we need to communicate this, and that, or like just kicking myself in the butt for just not taking the time to say, hey, y'all, we're going through a hard time right now. And I don't want y'all over, or just being like, y'all come over anyway. And it took my therapist saying, so what if there's dishes in the sink? Invite them over.
Listen, I would have been like, listen, my house a mess. Everybody, when you come in, grab a cloth, a broom. So we gonna drink and clean up my house.
Right. And those moments, I didn't practice that until life was lifing, and I invited my friends over, and they were like, "Okay, like like we're here." There was no judgment at all, but for me, that was a really big step in like breaking the perfectionism thought process. It was just huge.
That's good. And I will say, I think becoming a mom and a wife has taught me to lean even more into accepting that I am not perfect. I don't have everything together, and being able to know like what my capacity is and speaking up for that. Because I feel like when you have a kid and you become a wife, you want to be perfect. You want to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, and still do all these things that you used to do before. And you'll learn very quick, I don't have it. Like, whether it's you don't feel good or you're literally tired, the baby takes all your energy and you're trying to divide it between you, your husband, your kid, your friends, your family, to be the good daughter, the, cousin, sister, all of these things. And I had to, like, I learned real quick, like, listen, I don't have it. And I had to literally start telling my husband, I don't have the capacity for what you need me to do. And I need you to know I don't have the capacity. And of course, we would have the same argument, every like 3 months. He'd bring it up again, like, why you don't do XYZ? And I'm like, listen, I told you before, I don't have the capacity. I still don't have the capacity. And I need you to understand that. And it's really shown me how to speak up for my boundaries and re-implement those boundaries to whoever I need to implement them to. And even when it comes to people want to come over my house, like, my house is always open. It's usually the gathering house for family and friends. And then I had to scale back on the kickbacks. Like, listen, I don't have the capacity to cook and clean and be the hostess, and this baby is on my hip. Like, it's just acknowledging, what you can do, what you can't do, and it doesn't make you any less of a person. It just means at this moment things have shifted. Your life has changed, and you have to acknowledge that it's okay to not be everything for everybody.
Yeah, but in the Black community, it's such a strong culture of being the hostess
Mm-hmm.
of your family or being the person that has it together. Like there's a strong emphasis on Black women in particular.
Yes, being a strong black, the backbone
Being the
to the family. Yes.
or being the person that's available. And sometimes being the person that can bear it all as well too. And so there's a huge cultural influence, I believe, in the Black community where Black women are supposed to be perfect.
I agree. Let me say this. I agree. So usually, my family, we celebrate Juneteenth, down bad every year. So this last Juneteenth, it's at my house again, and I mean, like, I to help me, I assigned everybody a food. You pick the food that you want. Instead of me cooking everything, everybody bring their own dish. So it was assigned, and then what started to happen was the day of, somebody canceled. They can't make it, but we have already got the food for your dish. So now it's on. Listen, it is. So now it's on me to make it. The next person canceled, so I had to make their dish on top of all my dishes, right? So then I was like, okay, we're gonna have the kids over. Let's bring the bounce housey, the water slide. I mean, the whole nine. Went to the store after I cooked to get like the sodas with my cousin, everything, right? And then everybody came, and then people left early. Usually, Juneteenth, you're there all day, midnight, whatever. Girl, by 4 o'clock, everybody was gone. And when I tell you,
What time did it start?
maybe like 2. So when I tell you I was pissed, my family can test this. I sent a message in the group chat to all the cousins, and I was like, how dare y'all waste my time? I am not cooking. I'm not throwing no kickbacks no more. Don't ask me. I don't do it. I felt very disrespected of my time, my money, my finances. Like, I let them know, because I'm usually the one who has the kickbacks, whether it is Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, whatever. I'm that person. But if y'all are gonna want me to be that person, you need to show up for me and not waste my time. So yeah, so in everyone canceling or having to leave early, I just had to accept that I can't be everything for everyone all the time. And I have to know my limits, and them having to, whether it's other obligations or just can't make it, that's no reflection of me, and I had to be okay being vulnerable to let them know this is how I'm feeling. And it's okay. Things happen. Of course, I love my family down bad. We're not on bad terms, but it took me speaking up to let them know how important this was to me. And I was disappointed, and it's okay to be disappointed. Disappointments occur, but as long as you know kind of like how to pivot, how to handle them, we have to accept that we're not in control like we want to be. Things are going to happen. And it's just like, how best do you roll with that resistance and opposition as it occurs?
Right.
And that helps you to not try to be so perfect all the time.
I agree. So we all got a lot to learn when it comes to perfectionism, but holding back, hiding behind it, it's definitely not the answer. But that wraps up today's episode.
Yeah.
So y'all leave a comment. Let us know about your journey, what you think about today's episode. We would love to hear from y'all. Definitely give us 5 stars if you enjoyed today's episode. And share this with a friend of a friend.
Yeah, subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment. Follow us on social media at Committed to Me Podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.